But Donald Trump, when he was president 4 years ago, was not interested in the United States having a large military footprint in the Middle East, and in particular in Syria. And just last week, when Damascus fell and Bashar al-Assad fled to Moscow, Donald Trump likes to present his foreign policy through tweets. And he tweeted in all caps, the United States does not want to get involved. This is not our issue. So that leads one to believe that the United States is not going to spend a lot of diplomatic or military effort to go and support the Kurds, who we previously had supported. And I think that your viewers probably understand in some way. Americans are taking time to understand it. But the Donald Trump's perspective on power is transactional. That means, what can you do for me so that I will do something back for you? Tends not to be a very broad strategic view at all. It tends to be very much two people at the table. What can you do for me? What can I do for you? And in this sense, you can see that there's writing on the wall of how Donald Trump is going to view Syria and also view the Middle East more broadly. An example of that was a few weeks ago when he announced that he's really actually taking, instead of State Department advice, and Donald Trump tends not to, he gets into a lot of disagreements with the State Department. He's actually got two of his main Middle Eastern advisors will be Charles Kushner, who is the father-in-law of his son, Jared Kushner, and Masoud Bulus, who is an Iranian American. Charles Kushner is a Jewish American, and Bulus is the father-in-law of his daughter, Tiffany. So this is a highly unusual, incredibly unusual for an American president to take advice from people who are so far outside of the policy establishment, which brings us back to the Kurdish issue, that unless there are some Kurds who are willing to figure out how to meet Donald Trump and schmooze with him, as they say, late night have chai or drinks with him somewhere in Washington and create that personal dynamic so that there's people sitting across from the table from each other, or figure out how they can do this with his family, it's going to be the Kurds may well be left out of this because Donald Trump he doesn't play into those traditional relationships that America has had and those traditional allegiances. Instead, it will be much more, what are you going to do for me today? What are you going to do for me tomorrow? And if the Kurds can't understand that's how to negotiate with Donald Trump, they'll lose out very much. What does Donald Trump want here? He's coming in and he wants to reshape the Middle East, and he's going to reshape the Middle East through speaking to the most powerful players in the Middle East. That's how this will happen. That's going to mean that he's going to be speaking to the dominant force right now that's making these things happen is the Israelis.